While academia Twitter remains the custodian of the left wing, trust Jordan Peterson to emerge as the right-wing anti-hero that we didn't deserve. Peterson stirs up the hornet's nest with his controversial takes and almost mythical books. However, Peterson is a hero for the people who are at the opposite tipping point of the woke culture. Peterson's cult following is hard to miss, yet some controversial takes have done him more harm than good. Let's break them down. First up, Jordan Peterson versus the climate. Yep, you heard that one right. For someone as conservative as Jordan Peterson, it's not new for them to think they're tougher than the sun. Usually the climate change deniers are also the ones who don't see why sunscreen is important. We know the usual tricks and tips that the environmental conservatives hold. The planet will heal itself. Oh, climate change isn't scientifically proven. Or maybe we'll all shift to Mars. And in some alternate universe, perhaps the environmental Kuznets curve is real. Not Jordan Peterson though. Jordan rises above all challenges to tell us that there's no such thing as climate, let alone an impending climatic apocalypse. We honestly tried to find logic here but failed miserably. According to Jordan, when we refer to climate mitigation and try to make the connection between the environment and everything around us, it becomes meaningless. Because if the environment is everything, then what is it really? Jordan doesn't believe that everything around us is in crisis, and for the most part, he's right. Yet as far as scientific opinion goes, changes in long prevailing weather conditions, aka the climate, is disastrous for everything fundamental on Earth, including drinking water. The crux of predicting environmental damage over the years is climatic modeling. Again, this entire process is a very sophisticated synthesis of data analysis, environmentalism, quantitative research, math, and whatnot. But Jordan Peterson, a clinical psychologist, believes that the math is wrong, simply because climate modeling isn't short-term, and the longer the model is, the more prone to errors it is. Okay, if you have some experience with modeling and stats, you know this already, but if you don't, allow us to fill in. The fact is that long-term models are more accurate than short-term ones. Your weather agency might not be able to predict the exact temperature that you'll experience within the next 7 hours, but it'll predict the thunderstorm 7 days ahead. So any statistics nerds volunteer for a one-on-one math lesson with Peterson? Probably not. Peterson is a hardcore don't-look-upper and is not gearing well for the climate activist. Now let's talk about why Jordan Peterson can't wrap up his around trans rights. If you're expecting a concrete biological or cultural analysis from Jordan Peterson on why gender binaries are authentic, we're sorry to disappoint you. Other than telling his audience that there's no way a woman can exist in a man's body, he doesn't elaborate. We aren't experts on logic and problem solving here, even with all the anti-trans rhetoric on the internet. If Jordan Peterson is unable to prove strict gender binaries, it doesn't mean he's right. But let's take Jordan at his best, or maybe the worst. Jordan's actual beef with trans rights is preferred or neutral gender pronouns. Jordan Peterson had a meltdown during the University of Toronto's mid-October freedom of speech rally because he's tired of using they-them pronouns. But that's just not it. Jordan went as far as comparing the urge to use gender-alternative pronouns with classic authoritative regimes where linguistic and ideological control is prevalent. With this line of thinking, if you have your pronouns in your bio, you might as well be a Stalin sympathizer. After Jordan made these comments, the crowd immediately started to protest. A peaceful rally turned into chaos when students and staff prompted Jordan to just stop talking, while many Jordan supporters went off on the protesters. Shoving and pushing disrupted the entire rally. When Jordan found his way to his office, some students glued his lock shut as a protest. Rumor has it that Jordan Peterson is still waiting outside his office, banging on the door to escape the 1930s Soviet Union that the University of Toronto is. Coming up next in Jordan Peterson's Bad Takes, why the hashtag MeToo movement is irrelevant. Alright, if there's any controversial take that can earn Jordan the title of Becky with the Bad Takes, maybe it's his views on the hashtag MeToo movement. To be fair to Jordan, he probably won't have any issues if you go to the police to report any gender-based violence issue. But if you do it on the internet 5 years later, then you're just looking for clout. We realize such themes can be distressful for certain viewers, so please brace yourself or skip forward. If we were to summarize Jordan's views on the biggest women's movement in the world, you'll be disappointed but not surprised. Jordan doesn't understand why women didn't speak out against their abusers 10 to 15 years ago. Maybe because an international movement that gave women a safer platform to speak up didn't exist, and it only goes downhill from here. Whenever Jordan gives his unwanted views on the hashtag MeToo movement, he loves to reference the 60s, when sexual behavior went unregulated and rule-free. So far, so good. Yet, Jordan also believes that the accessibility of contraceptives and abortion rights for women cause men to act out. Yep, for Jordan, the masculine tendency to sexually exploit women starts with the invention of the abortion pill. Apparently, men become extremely confused about women's reproductive function, and 60 years later, they have no idea idea what sort of sexual entities women are. When everything is said and done, it does make sense for women to call out men when they are the ones who cause the issues in the first place. If you made it this far without shattering the windows nearby, pat yourself on the back, because that's not an easy feat. Okay, to make things less somber and distressing, let's move on. It's time for us to talk about why Jordan Peterson is always going to be a #1 Kylie Jenner fan. Kylie Jenner and Jordan Peterson might be the most ambitious crossover of the year. To be fair to Jordan, he isn't interested in investing in Kylie lip kits or her $300 makeup brush set. Yet if you chant, Kylie Jenner is not a self-made billionaire 3 times in front of your mirror, we're sure Jordan Peterson would appear out of nowhere to tell you that white privilege doesn't exist. We remember the cursed timeline when Forbes applauded Kylie as the youngest self-made billionaire of 2019, only to later inform us that she might have overstated her net worth to earn the title. As much as we enjoyed the memes, the biggest spark of the debate came about Kylie's generational wealth and skin color, which put her at the front door of opportunities that a person of color might not get. Jordan Peterson indeed has no stakes in Kylie Cosmetics, but he sure knows how to protect the rich. Jordan Peterson believes discussions around race, elitism, and white supremacy are postmodernist impressions. Yep, for Peterson, racism was solved once we entered the period of modernity. In other words, there's no such thing as unequal playing field. White supremacy isn't rooted in class or ethnicity, but the majority. So, if white people are the dominant race in America, it makes sense that identity politics is built to suit them. Before you ask, nope, Jordan Peterson didn't exactly comment on how exactly the majority has made democracy any fairer for the other ethnicities. Maybe he'll write a book on that. Who knows? Now let's get into why Jordan Peterson believes poverty can solve addiction problems. Don't need to jolt yourself up because you heard that right. Now, there are some really good moral and economic arguments against the basic universal income, but Jordan Peterson loves to rise above the standard. When the 2020 Dems presidential primary candidate Andrew Yang made some solid points in the favor of an income safety net, Jordan Peterson countered him in the only way he knows, by making up a story that probably never happened. Yang hoped to impose a basic income on the American workers due to the quick transition to the knowledge economy that left many workers underskilled or jobless. Now, of course, there are better ways to counter this problem. Yet in Jordan's world, this is a bad idea, because giving more money to workers means they'll buy more drugs to satisfy their addiction. To make his point, Jordan told a story of his patient who couldn't afford his addiction when he was poor, but as soon as he started to get paid in sick leaves, his addiction became unmanageable and unfortunately, he died to a potential overdose. Natural conclusion: to prevent addiction-related deaths, leave people poor, and the best remedy for addiction is poverty. Make it make sense. Jordan Peterson. Finally, Jordan Peterson doesn't believe in global hunger. If you listen to that infamous Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan podcast, this revelation might not shock you. Let's cut right to the chase, shall we? Jordan doesn't believe that health crisis and political conflicts have left people hungry. Yep, in Jordan's universe, global hunger doesn't exist. Children in Yemen, Somalia, Syria, and many other conflict zones are all paid actors. Hunger is political, honestly. It would take one call from the White House to end the Saudi humanitarian aid blockade on Yemen. But politics is the reason why almost 9 million people die of hunger in a year. Yep, such stats are above Jordan's pay grade. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Peterson is the most apt option for a right-wing rep? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.